before the Edwards versus Aguilar decision in 1987, at the time of the McLean trial, creationists had become dissatisfied with creation science and were looking for a replacement that would be more successful legally and actually more attractive to a wider variety of Christians. First of all, creation science was dependent upon biblical literalism, and that is a minority view among Christians. Catholics and mainstream Protestants are not biblical literalists. Yes?
Do you have statistics on that?
Yeah, because Catholics are the largest number of Christians among Christendom, and they're not biblical literalists. So, to try to make anti-evolutionism more attractive, maybe something that was less biblically literalist. So, the book, there are a number of books written to sort of try to come up with maybe a less creation science-tied anti-evolutionism. The Mystery of Life's Origin was the most successful of these books. Thaxton, Bradley, and Olson were the authors of this book, and they presented the idea here that the origin of life is a real problem in biology, and it is. It's a very thorny issue. It's a very difficult problem. But they made the further claim that it's not just a difficult problem, it is an unsolvable problem. It is a member of a class of problems that are not just difficult, but categorically unsolvable because of their complexity. Dean Kenyon wrote in the foreword that it is fundamentally implausible that unassisted matter and energy organize themselves into living systems. The reason is, of course, because of the enormous complexity of that first replicating structure. Now, of course, this is a familiar idea. It was the one expressed by William Paley in 1802 in his famous book, Natural Theology, as the argument from design. You remember Paley, he's the guy with the heath and the watch. You know the story. If you're walking along the heath and you see a stone, you wouldn't think anything of it. The stone could have been there forever, no big deal, it's a natural substance. But if you see a watch, you know that because of the complexity of the watch, the fact that the watch is to use the term of Michael Behe, a purposeful arrangement of parts. It is a complex structure that has many interacting parts that achieve the purpose of telling time, that you know there had to be a watchmaker. So therefore, when you see something like a vertebrate eye that has all of these parts that cunningly fit together to admit light and images to the brain, you know there had to be a God, because only an intelligent creator could produce something complicated like an eye. A natural, just the random forces of nature could not possibly have produced something like the vertebrate eye and all of its complexity. And of course, what was so subversive about Charles Darwin is that through the mechanism of natural selection, he came up with an explanation for how something as complex as the vertebrate eye could be constructed through natural causes. And that was the real radical idea that he had in his book on the origin of species. The second manifestation of this new creationist approach was a high school biology supplemental textbook of Pandas and People, also published, as was Mystery of Life's Origin, by the Foundation for Thought and Ethics in 1989. This was the first book to actually use the phrase intelligent design in the modern sense. Mystery of Life's Origin did not use the phrase intelligent design. Now, what is intelligent design? I prefer to let the proponents of a view define the terms themselves. So let William Dembski, who is a major theoretician for intelligent design, define this field. He says intelligent design is three things: a scientific research program that investigates the effects of intelligent causes, an intellectual movement that challenges Darwinism and its naturalistic legacy, and a way of understanding divine action. Well, an intellectual movement that challenges Darwinism and naturalistic legacy and understanding divine action may be very interesting philosophical and theological problems, but they're not really scientific. The only scientific statement here is scientific research program that investigates the effects of intelligent causes, so let's concentrate on that. So that is a fairly modest undertaking from the standpoint of science. And in truth, there really are only two scientific ideas in intelligent design, setting aside the theological and the philosophical components. They are Michael Behe's idea of irreducible complexity and William Dembski's design inference, sometimes referred to as the idea of specified complexity. Now, William Dembski believes that irreducible complexity is a subset of the larger idea of specified complexity. These two ideas surely are related, even Michael Behe will agree with that. Specified complexity and irreducible complexity both deal with the idea that there are very complex and or highly improbable phenomena in the natural world that, because of their high complexity or high improbability, are incapable of being explained through natural causes. In the case of irreducible complexity, like Dembski's example of a mousetrap or the propeller rotor motor of a bacteria flagellum, these are phenomena that cannot function unless all components are present at the same time. Take any one component away, the phenomena does not work. So, says Behe, natural selection with its incremental putting together of components cannot explain the gradual construction of these irreducibly complex structures. Well, when this idea was presented in the mid-1980s, scientists, evolutionary biologists, probability theorists took a look at them and said, we think you don't really understand how natural selection works. Here are some reasons why we think you're wrong. We believe complex features can evolve through step-by-step methods. Here, in fact, are some ways that we think even the beloved bacteria flagellum can have an evolutionary explanation. Here are lots of articles. Here are lots of books. We think you're wrong. Consider our criticisms, and then come back and we'll do round two. Now, I'm not going to, there's only so much you can do in one lecture, and this is not primarily a lecture about the problems with intelligent design. Other people have probably, I think you had Ken Miller here before. I'm sure he talked to you about why intelligent design has problems. But there are many, many references that you can find online in your library, in the journals, as to why intelligent design fails scientifically. And please do avail yourself of them. Yet many people believe that just because there are scientists involved in intelligent design, that therefore it must be scientifically valid. And I do want to just, and check pandasthumb.org or talkorigins.org for other references. Lawyers have a somewhat cynical statement about expert witnesses. For every PhD, there's an equal number of PhD. I've been using this for a number of years, and much to my dismay, I discovered that somebody actually has put a T-shirt out of this. And I guess I should be pleased, but I don't know. But at any rate, the point is that this is not true. Okay, cynical lawyers notwithstanding, the fact that we have some PhD scientists who think that there is scientific validity to intelligent design doth not make it so. Some of you may know about Project Steve, which we set up as a little kind of satire of this claim that, well, scientists reject evolution. When you look at the number of scientists who are doing active research in evolutionary biology and compare it to the paucity of scientists who claim that there is some sort of validity to intelligent design, I mean, it really isn't a fair fight, folks, really. That doesn't mean that the intelligent design people are wrong. They might be right. But the burden of proof is on them to convince the scientific community that there is a there there. Okay? What they have done is gone to the